Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. If you enjoy our content, please consider donating and following our socials. So in the past, we've briefly, well, not briefly, but sort of, we've talked about how to, as priests and priestesses of Wicca, paganism, whatever path you follow, we are, especially when you're dealing with groups, we are responsible for making tough decisions and judgments and handling discrepancies and disputes and things like that, right?
Right.
So let's revisit this and maybe provide a little different perspective
On what that's like.
yeah, on what that's like, and what it entails, and wherever else the conversation takes us.
All right.
So I guess we start with why do we have to do this?
Well, first of all, you got people. That's why.
Right.
Right. I mean, not everybody gets along all the time. I mean, let's be honest. Me and you've been married for 30 something years. How well do we get along all the time?
Not all the time, no.
There's a special relationship there. This isn't just, are you with me?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's
So
not
again,
like being in a group where, you come together with a group of people once, maybe twice a month.
Right.
Right.
Right. So again, if me and you don't get along again, what do you think about a group of people that do come along and get it together once or twice a month?
Right.
Right. To not plan for issues is an issue in and of itself.
It is. It's one reason, we set rules and we set boundaries for our functions. And that's part of that effort to kind of keep a certain decorum between practitioners and visitors and whoever else may be there.
Yeah. Hurt feelings can sour a mood real fast because of something stupid. So,
boy, can they ever.
And again, and people have a tendency to take things out of context. And, well, when it first happened, it's the end of the world. 3 months later, it might not be nothing more than a puddle.
Right. But by then it's too late. The damage is done. And
exactly.
It's once the event is spoiled or the emotion is spoiled, you can't go back and change it.
No. To sit there and to assume that these things do not somehow magically do not happen in covens, you're fooling yourself.
Right. Well, and I think one of the key ingredients to handling this and being a good judge, I guess, for lack of a better word, is knowing your area of expertise.
Yes.
Knowing when to say, this goes beyond my scope.
Right. Hey, there's a point in our training, especially when we're talking about counseling, that we literally have to look at our people going, look, you're not therapists. Don't pretend to be one.
Right. Well,
it's beyond your fit.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was heading into this as counseling. I mean, this is like the big thing, right?
Yeah. This is what people expect. I mean, they come to us with their problems. They expect an answer or something.
But, there's a very big difference between spiritual counseling and therapy.
Right.
We're not here to be your therapists.
Well, we're not trained to be therapists.
Exactly.
We're trained to be priests and priestesses of the religion, not counselors.
Well, when I say counseling,
right.
We do deal with certain things,
counseling,
but it's more like advice. It's more like it's on the spiritual side of things. It's not the physical or the mental
No,
Those aren't things that we are trained to deal with.
to deal with. Right. I'm not trained to deal with your bipolar. If you're bipolar, it's not my job to deal with that. I'm not trained for it.
Right. I can refer
I,
you to someone who can.
who's more qualified than me
Right. Who's way
to
more
handle
qualified.
this,
Yeah.
to handle this type of situation.
Yeah.
It's getting priests and priestesses to understand that.
That's the hard part. Yeah.
That's the hard part is it always starts off nice. All right. You want to be helpful. You want to be that person to go in there and help. And when you sit there and you're doing that, and it is someone with a problem, people
Mhm.
get kind of upset when you stick their noses into other people's business.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
And it's not, make it even worse. This doesn't always happen with the individual. Sometimes it's family members.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean my son should go seek counseling, or I should take him to the emergency room to have him put in for 24-hour observation? What do you mean you're telling? What?
Right.
How dare you?
We are not licensed to make
Right.
those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't step over that line.
Don't. Unless you're medically trained to do the whole detox thing,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to do this in your house. You can hurt somebody. You can kill people.
Yeah, detox is not a very pretty thing, and it's
No.
difficult, and it requires a lot of observation. It requires a lot of things that we're just not trained to do.
No. And I'm not going to sit there and train my people to pretend like they could even do this.
No, of course not.
That's not fair to those we're counseling and that are coming to us for our knowledge and wisdom.
Right. Yeah, most of the things that you're going to be dealing with as far as counseling goes, it's going to be like grief, fear, some type of spiritual crisis.
It's going to be crisis of faith. It's
Right.
going to be, there may be some depression in there and stuff like that, but it will always be linked back to our faith and our religion, not.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. More people would, I think I've done more counseling on ethics and morals than I have doing that whole, how should you treat other people as a pagan versus something else.
Right.
These are more of the counseling I've ever done.
And it also pays to be a good listener when you're doing all of this as well. I mean, because when you're dealing with those type of situations, like you just mentioned, people above anything else, they just need somebody to listen to them.
Yes. But majority of the times, we're in a world, I think most priests and priestesses like myself normally get in trouble is when someone's too fast to sit there going, no, you're cursed, or no, you're possessed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, somebody put a spell on. This is where it gets us more in trouble than anything else.
Yeah, that's a dangerous line as far as I'm concerned. That's like creating dependency. And I don't really want anybody to be dependent on me, in that sense.
It's the whole entire concept of you're looking for zebras when it should be horses.
Right.
All right. This is when a priest or a priestess really does need to look at somebody going, no, I really think you need to seek out therapy.
Mm-hmm.
This what's going on here is beyond me. This is not possession. This is a psychotic break.
Right. This is going beyond something a spiritual matter.
Right. But there's my point of, people have a tendency to want to do that. They want it to be the more fantastic.
Well, of course they do. Of course they do. That's because they want a good story to tell,
Trust me, it's easy to fall into that. Ooh, you're cursed with every reading you give. How else are you going to keep them coming back?
Well, like I said, that creates that sense of dependency.
Right.
And that's, honestly, that's not something that I want. I want people to come to me for, advice or whatever else, but they should be independent people. That's our goal here, is to create independent people who can handle a lot of things. You know what I mean?
over the years, I mean, I have complained that I'll sit here and give people advice just to watch them ignore me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think they ignore me because the advice I give them is just too mundane. It's just too, or are you with me? It's not that mystical, magical thing. So therefore, since this is a simple, mundane thing of, I don't know, making a schedule
Right.
and sticking to it, why am I going to listen to you? Yours is boring. I can go over here and listen to this, hey, I'm possessed by a fairy.
Right. There you go. Yeah. Sprinkle this fairy dust and it'll get rid of all your problems.
Then we get rid of all my problems and the whole 9 yards. And well, see, there's our problem here is when we look at our tradition, one of the big things that we teach is that we are all the source of our own problems the majority of the time.
Right.
That's not me sitting here saying bad stuff don't happen to people. All right.
Right.
Bad stuff happens. We know it does. Our reaction to it is what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
How we handle it, what we do, and that we don't take any biases from an event like that and put it onto someone or a different situation.
Right.
Where it really don't belong.
Yeah, that's that's having some accountability for
what you've done and what you haven't done.
Right.
Like I said, I'm not going to sit there and shame anybody because they've had something bad happen to them or done to them. The majority of the times when I talk to people, they are the source of their own problems.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to do they want to do the same thing and expect a different outcome.
Yeah, and we all know that's, the definition of insanity. So, and we've all been insane a few times in our lives, right?
No, I think that was called my 20s.
Yeah. But that's also, that right there is why elders and teachers are still important in modern paganism.
Right.
Because they can help you get past all of that and give you the tools you need.
All right. I mean, because the majority of us are not telling y'all anything new.
No.
I've heard it 1,000 times. No, this is not the first time you'll fall in love. No, it's not.
Right.
This advice is out there and it's repeated over and over again because it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And you only don't believe it because you're young.
Right. Well, sometimes you just have to hear it from somebody else. Somebody that you perceive to be, I don't know, in a better position than you, or somebody on a higher, that you perceive being at a higher level of vibration, or whatever you want to call it.
I did. Oh, we've seen that behavior too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A friend of mine came over, asked me a question. I gave him an answer. Lord Men came over. He asked Lord Men the same question a couple of weeks later. Lord Men gave him the exact same answer, and he was like, "Ooh, revelations!"
Yep.
What was the difference?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing, except I was a little old.
Right.
First degree, third degree.
Right.
Same answer.
Yeah, and that's something you got to factor into all of this as well.
Right. People do stuff like that all the time and don't realize what they're doing.
Right. But now that being said, people are going to say, well, what does counseling have to do with making a judgment? Well, it has a lot to do with it, because having some knowledge of counseling enables you to see different sides of the story.
Right. When most people come to me and they're wanting counseling, especially if it's more personal or couples counseling, it just winds up being me. Well, could your partner have felt this? Could your partner have thought this? Could your partner have thought A, B, C, D? Me just going down this long list.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason this works so well, I'm not that partner. I'm not the one you're emotionally mad at.
No.
So I get to be a substitute and do the logic part of that conversation with you, taking the other half out of the equation. I'm not really solving a problem. I'm just sitting here going, they could have been thinking this.
Well, and honestly, that's why we encourage those who are going for their second degree to go to a counselor.
Oh, God, yes.
kind of experience it from, from the one who's needing counseling's perspective and observe the counselor. It's kind of a twofold thing. You
Right,
might actually uncover something that you haven't dealt with and they're able to help you, but by the same token, you're taking notes on the counselor.
right. Their methods, how they
Right.
get people to open, how to ask really good open-ended questions that encourage people to talk.
Right. So, it's a process for sure, but that's why we encourage that, is because it helps. It helps you
Yes.
understand that process.
Trust me, there's nothing wrong with going to go seek a little bit of therapy every so often. All right?
Absolutely not. Even if you think you're the
All right.
most sanest person in the world.
We say that, but that also means some people don't need therapy all the time.
No.
Don't think of this as just I'm going to have to go therapy for the rest of my life. You may have to go for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a little while, then go back, a couple of years later, go for another 3 months. That is just as acceptable as if you have to go once a week. At least you're trying to do something. At least you're trying to, are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
The effort there is probably more important than anything else sometimes.
Right. But now, if we're dealing with, disputes, or we're dealing with a problem within the coven, something else that we refer to are the laws and our ethics.
Right. Yes.
These are laid out for us, in our material, and we use those to help us make a proper judgment.
Right. We normally use what is it? The New Book of the Law?
Yeah.
Which is based off of Lady Sheba's Book of the Law.
Right. It all comes back to personal responsibility, though.
Right.
Whatever this issue is, we expect that whoever is involved, whether it's one person or two people or three people, we expect everybody to take responsibility for what they've done or haven't done, or what they've said or haven't said.
Well, we tell the majority of people is if you have an issue with somebody else in temple, you need to take care of that. That's your responsibility between y'all two to figure it out.
Right. When we step in is when you can't fix it.
Right.
If y'all can't work it out, then we'll step
We
in.
will.
Yeah, we will.
And that's where those judgments come in that make everybody kind of like look at us sideways, because the majority of the times, if we have two groups or two individuals that fight against each other like that, we're going to probably look at both parties and go, bye.
Right.
Is not believing one over the other. Is y'all two were supposed to work it out yourselves and not involve anybody else.
Right.
You didn't do it, so we're now going to remove both of y'all from the situation.
Right, because at that point, you've not only involved whoever it is you've got a dispute with, but you've involved the rest of the group, because word's going to get around.
Yep.
So now you've created gossip. Now you've created drama.
And now we have to do something, because everybody's concentrating more on this drama than we are on our religious.
Right. And I'm sorry, we're not a social club.
No, we are a religion. We come together to worship.
Do we have our social moments? Of course we do. But that's not our primary focus.
No. By removing both, I hope everybody understands how in the world, I believe that's like the most fairest thing to do. And yes, if we had a group of 3 people doing this, yes, we would probably tell all 3 to go, there's the door.
Right. And honestly, to me, that's not only fair, but that's also ethical. Because we're not picking sides.
Nope.
We're not making a judgment of who was right, who was wrong.
Nope. Our judgment and everything was based on one simple concept: the preservation of craft.
Right.
What does it take to keep this temple up and running no matter what?
Mm-hmm. And that is ultimately what matters to us.
Right. So again, all the judgments we make lead us back to this one goal.
Right.
If you got a problem with that, this is what you're fighting. if you're going to try to come in and tell us something different. Are you with me on doing this way? This is what you're fighting is, how does doing it any other way preserve craft?
Because ultimately, that's what it comes down to. When we take our oaths, without breaching any,
right,
one of the things that we pledge is the preservation of craft.
Right.
And if we can't do that, then what are we even doing?
Well, if you can't do that, what was the point of taking the oath in front of the gods?
Right.
How seriously are you taking that oath if that's not your primary, if that's not every temple's primary concern, that we preserve each and every single tradition the way it was created and keep on working toward the future? What was the point of it all?
Right.
What was the point of the fighting? What was the point of going to the courts and battling to go, no, we're not some bunch of weirdos out here just, killing babies and blah, 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 blah. We actually have a belief system.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what this is all about, folks. It's preserving a belief system. And I don't care what branch you practice or anything else. None of that matters. The fact is, that we're preserving a religious belief system.
Right. We teach a way, not the way.
Right.
We've always stated that. We will always state that. And again, that's the main thing about paganism. I think I really like the best is this whole entire thought that we all teach a way and not the way. Nobody knows the way.
Right. And honestly, I've come to believe that there is no the way.
Oh, no. I don't think there's the way like we're thinking of it.
No.
I do not believe there is no one religion that encompasses everything or anything like that. Not in the way we think of religion.
Right. No, I would agree with that statement.
So it's just, religion to me is just too big to be confined to one tradition.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. I have to admit, no, we're not living like we did in the old days where our religion was our lives. I hate the fact that we separate them up nowadays, but...
Yeah, me too.
These are some of these judgments. This is some of the stuff that third degrees have to learn how to do and deal with.
Right.
Running the coven is like herding cats. It is insane and beautiful and insane and beautiful all at the same time.
Right.
But, things do happen. To not sit there and automatically go, let's plan for when it all blows up is never a good idea.
No, don't wait until it happens.
No, because when you wait until it happens, it's going to go wrong.
Yeah,
it's going to be
horrible. Too late. Yeah,
somebody's going to well, that ain't fair, and you're going to be like, well, we're just now making the rules on it, but that's not fair.
Like, well, we haven't really come across this before, so we're trying to figure out how to deal with it.
That's it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's not going to work either.
No.
You need to have some foundation in place.
I know a lot of people don't use Lady Sheba's the laws of Lady Sheba, but they are a good foundation.
They are. And even if you're not, that's fine. You need to have some type, like I said before, you need to have some type of foundation in place.
Yeah. I mean, I would love for us to eventually do an episode on that, but doing an episode of 188 laws of Lady Shiva. And if y'all read these laws, trust me, it's enough to bang your head up against the wall to begin with.
Yeah, try handwriting all of them into your Book of Shadows.
Yeah.
That's fun. But yeah, so no, I mean we could pull out the ones, dedicated strictly to coven use and let us know what you think. It might be a 2-part episode, but
yeah, let us know what you think. I'm not looking forward to that one.
Well, it's not about us now, is it?
All right, you about ready for some coffee?
I'm ready for some coffee. Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media: Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks.